Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast, Stacy Personally Speaking, where my thoughts become known. This is season 1, episode 172 of the Journey 365 series. Today's episode is about early morning, cookout by the sea, and backgammon whipped. It was after 5 o'clock when I was alerted in bed, and I knew there was no going back to sleep. And so I got up, used the bathroom, and then prepared for a short time of prayer and the word. It is a good thing to be led by the Spirit of God. And indeed, there is great peace when we walk in the way of the Lord. But we must be listening for his still small voice. And thine ears shall hear a word behind thee saying, This is the way, walk ye in it. When he turn to the right hand and when he turn to the left. Isaiah 30 verse 21 of the King James Version. After my devotions, I started packing my backpack and the cooler box. It was a bit smaller than I thought, so I had to creatively fit stuff in. And truth be told, I was bringing some kind of random stuff. I had decided I wasn't going back to the supermarket again, and so whatever I could find in the house is what I'd stuff in the box. I brought enough fruits to keep me though in any event, so there was no real need to be overly concerned about food. I packed a frozen water bottle and thought about taking a 2-liter one from my friend's car. And then I remembered it isn't advised to have water in plastic bottles in cars for extended periods of time. I'm not going to stress about it though. I left home at 6:15 this morning. I didn't check the route I'd be going again. I just decided to go whichever way. I went the first leg by bicycle, which was a good way to get some exercise in. At that time of the morning, however, it was difficult to find free parking. I had found one which was the first place I'd gone to, but when I looked at the time the train would come, it would have been about 25 minutes later. No, sir. This is what I get for not checking the train schedule. And so I opted not to use that parking. But lo and behold, I couldn't find any other parking close to the next station and ended up parking much further away and having to walk 10 minutes back to the first station. But I learned quite a lot this morning. The morning was cool and the air crisp and clean. I enjoyed riding my bike for the first leg. Yes, man. Until I started sweating and realized that in all my packing, I forgot to pack a rag. After descending the seemingly endless steps into the subway, I waited a couple minutes for the train to arrive. It was my least favorite subway because of all the complexities of clockwise versus anti-clockwise and versus the destination of the train. Just too much. I got to my friend's house at 7:33 and we left out at 8 o'clock. While I was waiting though, I did a few leg and back stretches and so did my friend. Not stretches but some kind of leg exercises. I took a ply of paper towel to use as my rag from my friend's apartment. When I told her why, she presented me with a small rag, which she said I could keep. Would you believe I didn't need a rag after all of that? We set off for the unknown place. I had no idea where we were going until we got there. I realized that it wasn't a cookout designated place. It was an area where the river meets the sea in Mie Prefecture. It seemed to be a popular hangout spot as there were several other cars when we got there. Many cars came and went while we were there as well. It was about a 45-minute drive from my friend's apartment and quite close to Nagashima Spa-land, where they have a roller coaster and Ferris wheel. But I've never been there. The scene was beautiful, relaxing and refreshing. I was beaming and smiling from ear to ear, and my friend was so happy to see my reaction. I was so excited and unable to contain myself as I observed my friend expertly set up the portable stove and set about making breakfast. Her husband first made Turkish coffee, which I had with something like Oreo. But I found out that the Turkish coffee was a bit sweet and didn't go very well at all with the cookie as I envisioned it would. While I was having the coffee, my father called me. It was a video call. And so I decided to answer the call and allow him to say hi to my friends and just talk to him for a few moments. Yes, man, while I had my coffee. Now, my friend whipped up some scrambled eggs and sausage while I did bacon and plantains. We shared everything except the bacon, and it gave me such a good feeling to be sharing. My friend was also happy to know that she could freeze ripe plantains and then use them months later. The plantains I used today were from June 5th of this year, 2021. 3 months later, and they were still so delicious. Once our tummies were full, it was time for the backgammon showdown between myself and my friend's husband. I got my butt whipped 3 times in 3 games back to back. But they were intense games and I felt so proud for making him sweat. He was the one who introduced me to the game. It's a beautiful game of skill and chance since it involves dice. I enjoyed climbing down and swishing my feet in the water, but I was afraid of what might have been in the water under the huge rocks that jutted out of the water. Not artificial rocks. Well, actually, artificial rocks that were put there to control, that area. And so I didn't allow my feet to stay too long in the water at all. But I felt so free. Then we left at around 2 o'clock and headed back to my friend's apartment. I still had another hour journey to my apartment. As I was about to leave after 3 o'clock, my friend said I must be hungry and that I should eat something. Up until that point, I was just focused on getting home and hadn't given much thought to being hungry or not. But once my friend mentioned eating, I thought that I must eat something. I started to feel faint and so hungry. And so I had some of my friend's pumpkin soup with rolls. After having that, I didn't feel like moving at all. My friend said no, I should rest since I didn't have work tomorrow. But it wasn't about having work or not, but wanting to get home before it was dark and just doing stuff at home before bedtime. I always have something to do. Now, after all the deliberations about which train to take with my friend, I decided to take the train in which I had to change platforms after the first 2 stops. My friend had advised that I just go to the station and check the information on the digital board. When I did check the board, the next 2 trains would require some changing of trains, it seemed. Anyway, I got to where I'd parked my bicycle around 5:30. I felt really tired, more tired than I thought I should be feeling. I couldn't quite explain it, but besides the slight uphill gradient at one section to get to my house, I was struggling for most of the journey, and this was not a new route for me. I rode with my cooler box in the bicycle basket while my knapsack was on my back. Now, there was an ever slight drizzle as I made my way home, which became heavier just as I turned into my apartment's bicycle parking area. It was 5:53 in the evening when I got inside my apartment and dropped my things on the floor. I was hot and sweating, and I missed the fact that no, I needed the rug. It was quite amusing. But instead of using the rug, I went right into the shower and had a cold one. Very unlike me since my body was so hot, but it was so needed. I decided to have an apple to close out the evening, but then ended up putting the clothes to soak in the washing machine. Of course, I also had to pack away my things from today's outing. I found out that my chocolate, which had been tucked at the top of the cooler box instead of the inside part where the actual cooling was taking place, had been melting. That created a little bit of mess, which was easily remedied with a few licks of the tongue. No, I could end the night, though with thoughts of a messy kitchen and messy floor with yesterday's hair still waiting to be vacuumed. I'm grateful to my friends and to God for today's experience with the beautiful weather that complemented it. Thank you so much for journeying with me on today's entry. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you will share it with somebody who you think might enjoy it as well. Remember to follow my blog at stacypersonallyspeaking.wordpress.com so that you can get my blog directly into your email as soon as I publish them, so you can read them. As always, stay blessed and stay safe. Goodbye.